These women have gathered at a home in suburban Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., to form a community knitting circle. They are all volunteers, all here to produce handmade Afghans like these, which will then be donated to American armed service personnel serving in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Deborah Starobin Armstrong came up with the idea in 2004.
I got laid off from my job in September of 2004. Spent a lot of time watching the news, and in December started hearing about a lot more of the news about the wounded coming back, how many people had been wounded in Afghanistan and Iraq, and decided I wanted to do something.
Because she is an accomplished needleworker, and she knew others who were as well, Deborah set out to organize the enterprise that has now become known as the Handmade Afghans Project.
I sent out an email to every person I knew and said, hey, how about this? Do you want to knit and crochet with me? Do you want to do this? And that's how it started. It just one by one by one.
She now has an email list of 550 volunteers across the U.S. and in 5 other countries, working alone at home or in knitting circle events to produce 15 by 23 centimeter rectangles like these.
The way the project's set up is that people knit and crochet 6-inch by 9-inch rectangles in acrylic yarn. They send them all to Maryland. We have these big events, design events we call put-together events. And at those, we actually design the Afghans and pin them for people to crochet them together.
Deborah says that thanks to put-together events like this one, more than 1,300 Afghans have been assembled since the project began in 2004. The volunteers say it is a labor of love.
Everyone has put their fingers into it, their hands into it, their hearts, their emotions. And you think of all these people who have made the rectangles, and then you think about where the whole completed Afghan is going.
Many of them go to the Combat Support Hospital at Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. Nearly 100 have been sent to date, each one including a thank you note from the volunteers who made the Afghan. Often the soldiers will write to send their thanks in return.
The families receive them, the soldiers receive them, and you think about that, and you think about how pretty they are, how warm and comforting they are.
Deborah keeps a scrapbook of letters received.
To Deborah and the rest of you supporting this project, I wanted to send a small thank you from the parents and staff here at Bagram. Unfortunately, we've been busy, but the patients truly appreciate your generosity. You should see the smiles. Well, hope everything is well on the home front. It's nice to know we're not forgotten over here.
Many of the volunteers say it is letters like that that keep them going.
It just makes you want to grab your crochet hook and keep crocheting all the time. You know, you never want to stop. So, a lot of satisfaction from helping.
Deborah says she recently received some encouraging feedback from a nurse who observed the effect that the donated Afghans had on the troops she tends to.
And one of the things that she told me was that it's the first thing that reminds the wounded soldiers of home. Because if you look at them, they're not perfect. We don't want them to be perfect. We want them to be handmade. And so that's, and remind people of home. And I think they're doing that.
George Dwyer, VOA News.